Hi and welcome to Knit All the Things. My name is Laurel. I'm also known as West Maven on Instagram, Ravelry, and here. If you're new, this is a space where I talk about all the things I'm knitting, all the things I want to knit, all things yarn, just all the things. And if you're returning, welcome back, Knitting Bestie. I can't wait to catch up with you. In this week's episode, I'm really excited to share with you my finished Nurture Bralette. This is a pattern by Celine Feyten, and I really enjoyed knitting this. I have some tips or some things to keep in mind if you want to knit one as well, and I'll talk a little bit about how I feel the fit is and how everything turned out. I also am really excited to share with you some of my updates for knits that I have been working on and some things that I'm kind of considering as the summer comes along. I'm really excited for some of these yarn festivals, fiber festivals coming up, and I have some great tips for you guys. So grab your knitting or project, get cozy, and let's go. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what I'm wearing. I am wearing the Eva Cardigan. This is a pattern by Petite Knit, and I knit this with La Vienna May's Wensleydale in the color Coquelicot. I believe, double check, but if you're watching this video soon after I published it, I'm publishing this on, I think, June 1st. I believe that La Vienna May right now has a sale on their site, so go check it out. I really like this yarn. It's a really nice color. I feel like it looks like it is indie dyed, but it doesn't have the crazy variegation where you don't have kind of the uniform color look. I did not do any yarn management in terms of like using two skeins at once. Cannot think of the word of it right now, but I basically just knit a skein and went to the next one. It was all from the same lot, but there's not a lot of variation. I don't feel like there's any big chunk or spot where it looks like I used a different skein. I really enjoyed knitting this. I think it has some really nice features. It really has a beautiful shoulder. I really think it's kind of one of the nicer fitting kind of at the shoulder garments that I have. And then it has details like elongated double 2x2 ribbing, the 2x2 ribbing on the button band. I picked out some vintage buttons. I think I found these ones. You know, I'm not sure. I might have found these at a vintage store. I don't remember. I'm a really big fan of finding vintage buttons, and I really think that anytime that I have a chance or go into a vintage place and can find like the button jars or the like button section, it's like always kind of, it can be hit or miss, but it's always like a really nice fun thing to explore. And then as long as you can find, I would say like 4 to 6 buttons, you should be good on finding like cardigan buttons. I always try to find the ones that are about an inch or so, because I feel like you can find a lot of patterns that want that size. I really don't have much to say. It's kind of a typical spring day in Portland right now. It's not that warm. It's been raining off and on, so having a nice cozy cardigan seemed like the right thing. And I just gravitated towards this color to have maybe a little bit more color today. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what I've been working on. I finished the Nurture Bralette. This is a pattern by Celine Feyten Designs, and I really have so many nice things to say. So first of all, the pattern was a joy to knit. She really gives you so many sizing options. I actually, before I filmed this, I will also link her below, but there was a video of, I think her name is Mary, that also knit this, and I found it just recently because I was looking up things for this video. She pointed out a lot of like interesting things about the pattern that I hadn't really considered. So one of the like modifications in the pattern is for you to knit from basically the apex of your breast, which is whatever, you know, the largest point, to underneath to like your rib cage. And that gives you an interesting, it does a lot of things for it, but one of the nice things that it does for the bralette is that it actually gives more of a like natural shape, and it really fits very nicely, like without it being one of those garments where you have so much negative ease it just kind of like squeezes you, but it actually like just lays flat and nice to your skin, which is really nice. I used Shibui Lunar in the colorway, I think it's Midnight, whatever their kind of black is. Let me grab the bralette and I'll show you. So I feel really bad, but I didn't block this yet. Mostly because I wanted to throw it on and wear it and just kind of see how I felt. I finished it so recently that I didn't want to spend the time blocking it and not have anything to share as far as fit is concerned. But it fits really nicely. I did do a couple of modifications, one of which is I did not do the lace. For a couple of reasons. I kind of just wanted this to be like fairly plain, and I really do like the lace. I think if I knit another one, I would definitely add it. I think it's a gorgeous detail. I just, for whatever reason, well, I'll be honest. You're supposed to knit so many rows of the twisted rib before you start the lace. And I totally wasn't paying attention and had knit quite a bit. And so I didn't really feel like ripping it out, and I kind of thought about it for a minute and thought, okay, am I gonna be sad that I don't have the lace? And I thought, no, because I do think I will knit another one. I really like, there's so many cool details. So when you cast this on, you cast on the back first. So you cast on a provisional cast on, you knit the straps, and then you, knitted some of my hair in there. You cast on a provisional cast on, you knit the strap, then you do these increases, then you stop, and I believe you do the same thing over here. So you do provisional cast on, you do some increases, and then you stop. And then you cast on an I-cord, and then, I'm trying to remember, then I think you knit across this side, and then you go through and you pick up along the I-cord for the back panel. What this does is it gives a really nice finish. It lays really nice, and it doesn't like roll or do anything weird. It like actually adds a nice structure to the garment. And I really, really think that was a nice detail. Another detail, once you finish that, you pick up and you knit the front panels, and then you stop at the apex and you want to try it on. This does a couple of things. It makes sure that the front triangle is covering like as much as you want it to. It also, you can knit a few more rows if you want it to be a little bit longer. Again, this is like to make it the perfect fit. And then you start your short rows based on the number of length between the apex and your rib cage. And that gives it such a nice fit. You can also make them slightly less, like when you're wearing it, you can't really tell, but if you were concerned about it being, it's not really pointy, but I'll use that just as a word. You can also start the short rows wider. There is just so many cute details. Like this is the side with this twisted rib. I just think it's so nice. There really is. Like it's such a pretty garment. It fits so beautifully. It's so comfortable. Really debated on ways I could show you guys, and it's not in my nature. So you'll just have to believe me. Maybe one day I will style it with like a peak. We'll see. But yeah, I really enjoyed knitting this. Again, the fit is like phenomenal. She really has thought through all the ways to make sure that it fits nicely to your body. One thing I would do differently, I should have looked this up before, but one of the people that knit this decided to start the ribbing up here. And instead of it being like all ribbing, they created almost like a triangle, and I really liked the way that looked on theirs. And so I would consider doing that next time, just to like, I don't know, I think it would be a fun look. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. It really is such a well-written pattern. While it is long, I feel like she holds your hand enough where you can figure it out. And I did have a question when I started and sent her a quick email, and she was real quick to respond. So I really feel confident in recommending this. I would say not a beginner, maybe intermediate. Maybe just that you have knit a few different things and you can kind of visualize what the instructions are wanting you to do would be helpful. But there is a lot of instruction, and I do think you can do it don't be intimidated by the length of the pattern. It's there for a reason. There's a lot of helping things, a lot of spots where you can like insert in a kind of like worksheet type sense how many rows you need to do and for what. So it's very doable. Now that I've knit it, I think I can even make more modifications because I know that it like fits how the measurements I've chose. Just for me, I knit a size 3 with a 3-inch like below the apex, and it fits well. I probably could have made that slightly longer. I chose like the closest measurement. It was like 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. And I didn't want it to be too big, so I did 3. I could probably have done just like a couple extra rows and been happy with that too, but again, it's fine. The kind of difference that you would see is that this ribbing is up just a tiny bit. So again, it fits nicely. I'm not complaining. I would 100% do it exactly the same. I do think it turned out so well. Logistically speaking, I did use a size US 3. So for the pattern, it suggests a US 2.5 or 3mm needle. And then for this like ribbing, a US 1.5 and a 2.5mm or 2.5mm needle. I used a US size 3, which I think is like 3.25. It's just like a little bit bigger. And then I used a US 2 for the ribbing. So that's kind of for my gauge, what I was needing to do. I used the suggested yarn, which was Hashibami Knits Lunar. It's lovely to knit with. I highly recommend it. I think it's really nice for smaller garments because it isn't like the cheapest yarn, but you certainly, for like next to skin, it's very soft. It was really nice to knit with. I did like use black yarn, so I did use my knitting light, which is like Glouse scent. I will link it below, but that did help because most of my knitting time is very late at night. Sometimes I even have like a very dim bedroom light and then the light because my husband will fall asleep before me, and that way it doesn't really bother him. Except for when you use it and it's shining, you have these like big knitting hands in front of you on the wall. So if that's too scary, then don't do that. But I joke. Let's see. So that's kind of my final thoughts. I think the pattern is so well written. I think the fit is gorgeous. Trust your gut and make sure that you really are measuring correctly because that's going to set you up for success. And I would not skip the swatch on this one at all. Okay, so let's talk about some of my other knits. Right now, I'll show you guys one that I have been working on before, and then I'll show you one I don't think you guys have seen in a while. Okay. So I know that it's summer, but apparently I just wanted to do some color work. So I am working on I really need a steam block this, which is why I kind of took a tiny pause because I just want to make sure that my yarn isn't gathering too much. I think it will be fine, like it feels like it will be fine. But just to keep my peace of mind, I'm gonna do a quick like steam walk. So this is the Antique Filigree. It is a pattern by Rachel Illsley of Unwind Knitwear. And I am doing I guess it's kind of a fade. I really don't have any rhyme or reason yet on how I'm gonna do this color work, but so far, here it is. The colors right now, the main color is Lamb & Kids Diamond Lane in the colorway Martin and the base Shed. It's a fingering weight yarn that is, I think, Merino and Romney. And then for the color work, I'm using Mizuzu from Spincycle, and then this is like, I think it's Throwback or Breakthrough, or I don't know, I'll put the name. But I'm kind of just doing a fade, or I don't know. I'm looking at it like a coloring book and like just picking as I go what I feel like it should be next. I have Vesuvius Plum as well. So I'm kind of thinking right now we've got this going. I might go into the plum next and then the green. And then, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly. And then I have a fourth color if needed, which is, I think this is Witching Hour. So, like I said, I don't actually have a plan. Sometimes I do, and a lot of times I like to just see where I'm at. Like for this, I had a tiny ball of the Mizuzu in my stash besides this skein, and I just did it until it ran out. I'm not going to do that on every color because I don't need that much, like, I think I need 400 yards of contrast. So I'm not going to do that, but I kind of just don't have a plan. I'm just going to do whatever wherever my mood takes me. I am using the recommended needle, which I think is a US 4. It might be a US 3. Let's see. I don't have glasses on. I think it actually is a 3. I feel like it's a smaller needle, but it's been fun to knit. I think it's going to be a really pretty sweater to wear. I feel like it doesn't look very contrasty on here, but I feel like in real life, in person, it is. So I'm not so concerned about that. But I was working on this a lot. Then I wanted to pause to steam it. Then I wanted to also finish the bralette, so I was kind of doing that. But then I was cleaning out my closet and organizing some yarn and doing some more destashing and various things, and I ran into this project that I started last year. And I stopped because I think it started getting cold and I wanted to make more warm weather. I'm sorry. Yes, I started it at the very end of summer and then the weather turned and I just didn't want to finish it. I'm using Wandering Flocks Cotton Lino in the colorway, I don't know, maybe Rust? Do I have? I don't even think I have the ball band right now. I don't know. I think it's Rust. It's like their Rust color. And this was last year's, so I'm sure if they redyed it, it will be different. But I'm also slightly unsure by this color. I think it will be fine on me. The Cotton Lino is, I believe, a 70% cotton, 30% alpaca. Wait, did I say Cotton Lino? No. It is, hold on, let me look it up because now I'm definitely saying the wrong thing. So it is Cotton Lino. I was right. And it's burnt sienna is the color. And the yarn is 35% cotton, 30% silk, 20% linen, and 15% alpaca. Boy, I had that completely wrong. I only have 3 skeins, and I'm making, the pattern is Hashibami by Ririko, and it is a beautiful lace top. This needle is too small. I actually need to switch my, what is it called? My cord. But you can kind of get the idea. It's this beautiful lace pattern and it's really easy to memorize. It's really easy to kind of see where you are in it. I'm really enjoying knitting it a lot. And I don't know, of all the things right now that I'm working on, this is the one, when I sit down and I'm wanting something to knit, I get excited by this one. I like knitting all the things I'm knitting right now, but this is the one where I'm like, ooh, maybe I'll just get a row or so in. Like, if I have just a minute, maybe I can work on it. It's the one that's like bringing me the most joy, I guess, would be a good way of saying it. It is the yarn itself, being a cotton yarn, but it has all the other things in it, the mulberry silk and the linen. It doesn't give a lot, but it is very soft. The alpaca definitely makes it so soft. You can't really see like a lot of the linen yarns where they have almost like the pieces of linen where you can see like the way that it's dyed. You can see like the white pieces of linen, I guess. You don't get that for this one. It's like very pretty uniformly dyed, and it is very, yeah, I think it'll be nice to wear. I'm a little unsure how I'm gonna do this one. I think what I have decided so far is that I think for my size, I think I'm just short of yarn. So I might do a couple of things. I'm gonna, I think, do the whole body, and then I will decide how much yarn I have left and see how long I can make the sleeves. And I think for me, I will do a 3/4 sleeve if I can't get a full sleeve. Like I won't do a bracelet length. I would definitely do like here, I think, because I feel like sometimes when I do a bracelet length, I'm like pulling on the sweater. I feel like I'm not comfortable because it feels like it's not quite, like it should just be long. Like why would I stop there? So it constantly bothers me. But I do know that I have a 3/4 length sweater that I do wear and that it is fine and comfortable. Like I don't feel like the sleeve is too short, if that makes sense. So I think quote unquote worst case scenario, I will just make the sleeves 3/4 length instead of the full length. But I'm really enjoying this. It's such a nice pattern. It's very easy. Like I said, if you've ever done lace before, this is like no big deal. And I want to say, I actually haven't, let me look really quick. I believe, okay, so I'm actually using the written instruction just because I can kind of mark off each row that I'm doing slightly better. But there is both written instructions and a chart for the lace. So that I think is helpful for people who think both ways. I definitely use a lot of charts, but for whatever reason, it generally takes me a minute to memorize like, oh, this one means like SSK or, you know, whatever it is. And so this is just a little bit easier for me to like just look at the line of what I need to memorize. You do put stitch markers in between each repeat so that you kind of know where you're at. It seems to me like I'm not that far in the pattern, that all the like kind of increases are happening more towards the center, so you're not really having to worry about a stitch marker being kind of in the wrong spot. At least I think that's what I'm remembering. And it's just a beautiful circular yoke pattern, well written, very easy to understand. I think for my size, so there are also two options. There's an option for a short sleeve and a long sleeve. I think I'm making a size 3. I don't remember. How do I figure that out now? Oh my gosh. Like honestly, this was the funniest thing, me trying to figure out the reason. So I had set this aside. I wasn't sure which row I was on because I had marked it in like a notes app and not on the like actual pattern. So I went and looked at like my thing and couldn't figure out, okay. So I counted the amount of stitches and then I started from the row like that was making sense and whatever, you know, the stitch pattern was previously. So I figured out where I was in the pattern. So I just decided to go for it and just keep going. But now I'm kind of like questioning, I don't know what size. I normally do a size 3. I'll have to look. I normally do the size like 40 circumference. So on this pattern, that would be, oh yeah, I did this, I'm sure I did size 3. So the circumference was 42 inches for a finished size 3. And I don't know, I'll probably keep an eye on it. Maybe I will end the lace slightly early, I'm not sure yet. For a long sleeve, you need 1,200 yards. For the short sleeve, you need only 800. So, and I have, oh, I'm probably doing a short sleeve. I have 900, I think I have like 900-ish yards. 900 and I probably have 1,000 yards. So I'm gonna have to do a short sleeve or a shortish sleeve or a in between. So that was kind of my thought. I really though highly recommend the yarn, the pattern. Wondering Flock has come out with new colors this year with their cotton lino. I especially like the pyrite. It wouldn't be a color I think that it would look that nice on me, but I think it's a very beautiful color. It's like a chartreuse, like a dark chartreuse. They also have a citrine, which is like a kind of a lighter chartreuse. And then if you also go to Ritual Dyes, I think they have a couple other colors and I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that I saw a darker blue, I want to say, in there at their online store. Yeah, they have a couple of darker colors. So I actually might buy some more of that because I actually really am enjoying the yarn itself. I'm hoping that this pattern being lace will be nice and cool, and I'm hoping that the yarn won't be too warm. We'll find out. I would like to use this as more of a summer or an in-between season garment rather than winter since I am not doing long sleeves, but we will find out together. The only other thing that I've been knitting right now is this thing. And I showed you guys a swatch last time. I really should make a little drawing so you can see what the heck I'm doing, but essentially I'm not very far. I'm gonna make a bag with this. This is one of the panels, and I don't know if I want to say much more than that, but I'm really having fun. This is yarn. It's Loro Piana. I got it from the Good Yarn store in Portland. I will link below. They may or may not have this yarn left. I know they only had a few cones, so I'm not sure, but they have a ton of cool yarns, so check them out. I really am liking the like how this is turning out. I don't have... I'm basically going to make 4 panels, 2 smaller, 2 I think longer, and then add maybe, I don't know if I'm going to knit a strap or if I'm going to like find like the leather bag straps and attach it. I haven't decided that yet, but I thought it would be a cool bag if I can ever finish it. It's not the most exciting thing to knit, And I'm using a size 3 needle, so it's kind of tedious and small at the moment. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. I'm not sure that it's the most fun thing to knit, but I will let you know. I also haven't spent a lot of time on it. This has been the like throw it in the car because it's a zero thinking project, but I have been doing a lot of running around, but not having that time to knit. It's been like running from one place to the next place without that in between time. So that's kind of all the knitting I've been doing. Real quickly, I wanted to talk about yarn festivals and just like a couple of things that I've been thinking about lately. So around me, in August, I'm going to Seattle for the Flock and Fiber Festival. When I have more like solid plans, I will probably let you guys know or post somewhere because I would love to meet up. If anyone's interested, let me know. But that's in August. Then in October, there's the Oregon Flock and Fiber Festival. And then in November is Sacred Sheep. Sacred Sheep's ticket sales will start in about 10 days, I think. So you might want to sign up if you're interested in going to that festival. I probably will go both days. It is small. You could certainly see it in a day, but I kind of just like to go and hang out and knit. So I'll probably be doing that. What I've been thinking, because as I'm pulling out yarn and destashing and doing different things, I'm trying to think of like if I would buy something or being intentional with that. And right now, what I've come to the conclusion of, I may do something like purchase stock yarn, like a one skein of like a special color. Like that would be like something that I might do. And then the other thing would be if there is something like, I feel like maxed out on yarn, and I say this now and I will probably show you guys new yarn in the future, but it's kind of just how I'm feeling. And so I'm kind of approaching it like a cool place to hang out with people. I'm not that like, I am interested in the yarn. I want to see what's new and like fun and like colors, but I'm not so much going in as a like buying trip. So I'm kind of just planning on visiting, definitely taking some video to share with you guys, definitely spending time with friends and knitting and just kind of enjoying people's company and enjoying seeing everybody's knits and things like that. So it's kind of where I'm at. And then secondly, I've been thinking about like knits I would like to wear. And right now I just don't have anything that isn't like already queued up or anything that I am like wanting to cast on immediately. However, I will say I just finished a video, 20 summer tops. I will link it below, but I was full of inspiration from these designers are coming out with these beautiful designs. I really want to cast on actually a couple of them. And I do have some summer yarns in stash, so I may just use that, but I definitely, there's some that have certainly caught my eye. If you do watch that video, I would love to hear like what your favorite knit is from that video. And I'm also considering like past, I would say, so for Seattle Flock and Fiber, it is in a convention center that is air conditioned, but I wouldn't want to wear like something too woolly for sure because it's the middle of summer. But I probably will wear something like my Cumulus blouse, etc. But I think I have enough warm weather knits at the moment that I don't need to like freshly cast something on, at least not yet. Not yet. Famous last words, I'm sure. And then for the Portland Sacred Sheep, I think my goal right now, which I feel like I have plenty of time, is to get this done for that. I think this would be a really fun thing to wear because I did pick out the Spincycle yarns from that festival last year, and I really think it's fun for me to try to finish the yarn that I bought from the previous festival. So that would be like my goal this year. Previously from Seattle, I think I haven't used, I'm trying to think, so from the Flock Fiber Festival in Seattle, I bought this yarn. I actually just went to Bainbridge Island to Lemon Kid and bought it. But so this is kind of all of the yarn I bought in the last year from festivals is in this sweater. And I'm sure I'm lying and I've probably forgotten something, but that's, I think, the extent of it. So I typically try to like keep it at least to a minimum so that whatever it is I do purchase for the fall, like I could finish knitting it by the following year is like a little bit of a goal of mine. That way I kind of cap it at like, I can't really knit for sure 8 sweaters between now and then, unless they're completely planned. I'm not gonna cast on anything else, right? So I just try to like, that keeps it fun for me. That also makes me a little bit more mindful of my purchases because I'm kind of approaching each thing as like, will I have time to knit this? Do I have anything at home like it? Etc. And so that's how I've been kind of approaching it. As far as like packing knits, I would suggest like basics for like the clothing that's not knit. So like a basic pant or shorts or dress that is going to like kind of go with maybe multiple options, because I feel like the weather can change. One year at Flock, I had a nice long sweater that I was able to wear, no problem, not hot. And then the next day it was hot. So then having something that could also like be worn for that. So having to have options sometimes makes packing tricky, but I find that if you stick with like a basic uniform that could be underneath them or with them, it makes it a little bit more interchangeable. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the fiber festivals. I hope that helps in some way. I would love to know like your approach to the festivals. Just been on my mind lately as like when the summer is approaching and I know they're kind of on the way and I'm starting to plan more for those events. So I am really curious to hear like what everybody else's plans or like how they approach them. So I'd love to hear that. That's about it, you guys. I've had so much fun today. I hope you enjoyed the knits. I would love to hear what you guys are making. I make these videos every 2 weeks. So if we are not yet knitting besties, please hit the subscribe button and please like this video. It tells YouTube that other fiber enthusiasts like yourself enjoy this type of content. Until next time, make some yarn magic. Bye!